In today's video, I want to talk about the power of hyper niching within the multifamily investment world and how veering off from that focus can cost you time and money. I got a good story for you. Let's go! Many of you will have differing opinions on this topic. Do you become the jack of all trades within the real estate investing world, chasing anything that makes money? Or should you be hyper-focused within your specialty, within multifamily, and be an expert on your criteria? Now, there's plenty of examples of very successful people who are the jack of all trades in real estate and those who are hyper-focused on one specific asset and even hyper-niched within the asset. But I personally know far more folks who are very, very wealthy and are hyper focused on just multifamily and just a certain criteria within multifamily. For instance, I know crazy successful student housing investors that only buy assets over 300 beds. They only buy at schools that have 10,000 students or more, and they only buy assets that are 20 years or newer. They don't develop student housing, they don't buy conventional, they don't buy affordable, they won't buy something that's smaller than that size, they won't buy something at a smaller school. They've become extremely successful at that one thing, and they've been doing it over and over again for over 20 years. I've got a great story for you. I was at a lunch about 2 years ago with an uber successful conventional apartment developer. Over the last 30 years, they had developed and held forever thousands and thousands of conventional apartments in the markets that I cover. That's all they did. And this principal became extremely good at it, to the point where they basically got bored of making so much money doing the same thing. So he asked me about a certain asset class other than multifamily and wanted my opinion on investing in that asset class. I knew exactly how to respond, but frankly, I was a little nervous because these guys are so successful. Who am I to say they couldn't or shouldn't go after this other asset class? I knew how to respond because in my 20-year career, I had seen a number of very successful niche investors dip their toes in a different type of venture or asset class and lose money. Now listen, these folks were uber successful, so they never got all that hurt. But what they did waste is a bunch of their own time, particularly, and money that could have been spent diving even deeper and getting even better at their niche. So at that lunch, I got bold and said, don't get bored with success. I told him there isn't an investor on planet Earth that wouldn't love to have accomplished what they had accomplished thus far. I was honest with him and told him that the other asset class he was considering was a good asset class. But the learning curve to get to where he is now doing conventional development is steep and long, and why go through the brain damage? Based on what I've seen this group accomplish so far, continuing down that path of the niche will leave such an unbelievable legacy long after he's gone that this group will be legendary. He will be legendary. And listen, I totally get the need for variety. What's the saying? Variety is the spice of life. And I'm not saying that diversifying is a bad thing. There's obviously those who have been successful at it. I'm just a big proponent of doing the same successful steps over and over and over again without getting bored or losing focus. Keep getting so good at something that nobody can compete with you. So good you know your craft backwards and forwards. And if you get bored with your success, become a teacher of your craft. Empower others. I promise they won't become your competition. Everybody does their own thing differently than you. So, if you've always bought 100+ unit conventional deals that are C+ to B+ assets, that are younger than 1980 and not as new as 2005, that don't have flat roofs, that are in Jacksonville, Tallahassee, Orlando, or Polk County, and you've been successful at it for many, many years, don't stop. Keep doing it. Don't get tempted by going into storage or going into shopping centers or starting a franchise on the side. let me tell you something I've noticed. The more successful real estate investors have become, and most of them are hyper niche individuals, the more outsiders outside the industry notice their success and want those investors to be part of what they're doing. That outsider will say something like, hey, Melissa, you've bought and sold 3,000 units in Florida over your career. You're so good at that. Hey, we should partner up together and do this mixed use development up in Boston. And they'll show Melissa 40% IRR projected returns, and she may get distracted. Or you get calls from 6 nonprofit groups that want you to be on their board. Or your own investors may be pushing you to add some other type of asset class to your investment offerings. Don't do it. Successful hyper niche investors are constantly bombarded by noise disguised as opportunities. Assuming you're good at your niche, keep your head down, stay hyper focused, become obsessed, and learn to love boredom in your expertise. Well, I hope this video helped one of you out there stay on track to your success. If it did, please give me a like down below. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be made aware of my videos each week. See you guys on the next one.